All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching me across the states in Nigeria. And I must say, they say Independence Day, Nigeria at 63 anniversary, took place on Saturday. Was it Saturday or Sunday to be precise? And I start with a quote from past Nigerian leader Jonathan Goodluck, which says that our independence collaboration is about the same people, the people of Nigeria, and of course our industry, their industry, sense of people, and of course same people who have the same sense of belonging, and of course their industry that has will I say, sense of mission and purpose, and their patience and perseverance as we navigate the historical turns in our country towards prosperity and of course self-sufficient. I think that is the word from Goodluck Jonathan during his administration, and I felt that I should use that to open the show today. And again, I say welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike of Atanda-Owo. And of course, I think it's important for me to hear what on this day initial segment asked for us today. Stay with me and let's hear it together. I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. I think my takeaway from on this day in history segment, if you ask me, is that what can we say about everyone that has the right to express their own will? Yes, that express their own will to govern Nigeria, irrespective of the background, or will I say, thus far, if you're a Nigerian or if qualified for the office of the presidency or not. I just feel that it only, seems to be absurd to Nigerians at the time, because many felt that this office was not, or was to attend to by ministry or ministry of the gospel, or will I say, also giving the fair chance of the utmost importance, yes, of what can come via the win or via the office itself, without the element of politics, or because of its political office also in general. I think that's my message for on this initial segment today. So guys, it's important for us to get a message from our sponsor. When I return from the break, the conversation will kick in. Stay with me, I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. On the live show today, I have a special edition for my viewers as I delve into the celebration of our country, Nigeria, and its nation, celebrating 63 years of independence. But let's not sugarcoat things. There's much to be discussed when it comes to our anniversary today. So today I'll be looking at the pomps and the pageantry that comes with the Independence Day. If you ask me, I'm going deep into the core of Nigeria's social-political landscape. Of course, I will also be exploring why Nigeria remains a nation of both unity and division, from its own colonial will I say origins to the challenges faced in modern times today, and of course the coalition of united political parties, that the CUPP, has, commented on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's broadcast made to Nigerians on the occasion of the country's 63rd anniversary celebration, describing the speech as ordinary, ineffectual, and of course far below what was, required in these desperate moments in our dear country, Nigeria. And should the president's speech be that of policy discussion, is what I will be touching on today, or should it reinforce our unison and of course diversity as a nation, striving hard in resilience to maintain its political and democratic sanity, is also what I will be touching on today. And of course, I will be touching on how much of our woes were addressed in the Independence Day speech, and appraisal of the country's development since independence, the trajectory of politics, governance, security, economic challenges that we're facing right now, and of course other aspects of the nation will be discussed with my guest today. And of course, I think it's important for me to quickly show how distinguished my fellow guest is today, knowing that he's a fellow from an Oxford University today, who is also proudly Nigerian. Let's have his profile right now, and when I return, he will be seated in the studio to engage us. Stay with me, I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us, guys. And let me use this opportunity to quickly usher in my guest, Mr. Sonny Iroche. It's a pleasure to have you in our studio today. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you, Kike Lomo. Nice to be in your studio.
Thank you so much for honoring my invite. But quickly, you know, let's go straight to the topic at hand, because I guess we are behind schedule now with time. You know, you are a senior academic fellow at the African Studies Center at the University of Oxford, you know, and of course, I must ask you, where is your research right now in terms of the economic relations between Nigeria and, of course, South economics in Africa? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because I want us to throw more light on how you will be able to assess our national struggle since, you know, independence, and particularly since the beginning of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. What's your take thus far with your own assessments?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by congratulating Nigerians for celebrating our 63rd independence anniversary thus far. Albeit this period we are facing serious challenges, which I had foresaw, and most analysts saw it coming, that I wrote a particular article that said Nigerians should brace up for excruciating pain. This article was written in April 2020. Now, my research at Oxford is actually on the economic and diplomatic relations between Nigeria and South Africa, the two leading economies in Africa. But well, that is not the topic of today. Today we are talking about how far and how fair Nigeria has been. My attitude as an analyst would be to sensitize, do a sensitization analysis of where are we today as a country? Where are we today as the leading economy in Africa? Where are we today as the leader of the ECOWAS sub-region on the continent? And where are we in the Committee of Nations? The second part of my analysis is, where do we want to be as a nation? How, and the third one is, how can we get there? Okay, let me talk about where we are today. We are at a situation where our economy is almost comatose. We are using our revenue, earned revenue, to service interest on our debt. We have sold crude oil forward, which means that all our subsequent crude oil across to Nigeria would go to pay up our obligations. And we have also borrowed so much money that our debt service is almost 90% of our revenue. So this is very, very alarming. There has been all kinds of shake up and shake out in the Central Bank of Nigeria, which constitutes the monetary policy of the country. Fine. We are now also addressing the fiscal side of it by President Tinubu appointing a Minister for Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy. All well and good. But what about the goose that lays the golden egg? That's the NNPC. We still leave it untouched. That really is the cocoa of the matter of our tragedy as a country. Before Buhari took over government, the Jonathan administration was producing at least 2.1 million barrels of oil a day, near to our OPEC quota. Come in Buhari 2015, and before he left in April, it dropped to less than 1 million barrels a day. So at least look, if you are not, if you cannot even control your spending side, what about your income side? The income side of your currency. Now, let us look at the 63 years of Nigeria. As at 1960, Nigeria, our dear country, was at the same development par with the Asian tigers. Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea. Our per capita income then was $90. As at 2021, our per capita income got to about 300. We do not know our population. Therefore, we cannot plan effectively.
We do not know our population.
When was the last census conducted in Nigeria?
Okay.
We are running on estimates. Some say it's 200, some say it's 220, some say it's 218. A country that cannot get a population right. Thank God today we have technology. We have artificial intelligence that can give us the correct population of our country. There's no point some section of the country ballooning their population for whatever gains of revenue and so on. We must be serious as a country. Growing up in Nigeria, where we were before, looked better than where we are today. Us is about the only country in the world where people look back and say things were better. We'll analyze the past, but I'm more interested in our today and our future. How are we going to address the economy, which is the albatross on the neck of this administration? It is yet too early to start assessing the Tinubu administration, but some of the steps he has taken, no other person would have done otherwise. One, you must remove subsidy. Two, you must harmonize the foreign exchange rates. Analysts and critics have said, oh, well, they should have put palliative in place before removing the subsidy. I beg to disagree. Because if President Tinubu had wasted one day without removing the subsidy, you see the lobbyists lobbying for him to keep the subsidy, because those who are benefiting from subsidy are not small people. They are the mighty and the powerful people in Nigeria. So it's a good thing he bit the bullet from day one ab initio.
All right, many thanks for your elaborate submission, because you've touched on so many. And I like the fact that you're so real on this platform, because this is real talk. You know, and you said you would like to touch on the cocoa. There's so many things that you've shared right now. You know, and I'll be coming to the artificial intelligence that you mentioned earlier, because earlier when you were talking about some of the comments, you know, that you've seen, you know, from April and the like, I've seen many comments about Mr. President's, you know, Independence Day speech. You know, some have antagonized him, saying that the president's speech wasn't that what they could consider as, you know, considerate. You know, they're not it's not considering the issue at hand, especially when it comes to the challenges we are facing. While some are saying the Independence Day wasn't to address policies, rather than it should address our unity, diversity, you know, resilience and strength. You know, and since freedom from colonization or colonialism and journey thus far in democratic states, you know, I would like to ask you, how would you rate and assess the president's speech? Because I feel that you've not been able to actually touch on that fully. That's number one. Number two, because of time, I'm trying to manage time right now, is that Nigeria is a home to over 300 ethnic groups, you know, because you are talking on census now. That's the reason why I'm actually touching on this question, because I feel that our diversity, you know, shouldn't just be about a plus for us, but also many people also say that one of the greatest injustice right now in the colonial master that did to us was about, you know, routing leadership, you know, to the north, other than the fact that as a country we should foster some level of unity instead of the disunity that this election have brought in. So with what you've shared thus far, talking on a lot of, you know, removal of subsidy, talking on censor, you know, even how we should be able to say that we are a population of this, how do you think that this has impacted us since post-colonial era to the disparities that we see today in Nigeria today, instead of the unity that is supposed to give us in terms of 300 ethnic groups?
Okay, thank you very much. If I were in the president's shoes, our independence anniversary really shouldn't be a big deal. You see, in the first place, why should we be colonized in the first place? Nobody had the right. The British had no right to come to our country and say the Mungo Park discovered the River Niger. So the Onitsha people who had been living around and the Asaba people, they did not know River Niger. So that is it. So for me, celebration is not what we should be focusing at this time. the democracy we are copying, the presidential system, the U.S. president has a day he gives State of the Union address. That kind of address is where you give us the state of our union. You talk about our economy, you talk about our security, you talk about the building blocks of a nation, you talk about education, you talk about the feel-good index of a country and the challenges that your government faces and the steps that you're taking to ameliorate such issues. Now I'm talking about diversity. There is beauty in diversity and there is strength in diversity. But I say to you, out of all the 36 states in Nigeria, every state has geniuses. They have people who can be the best doctors, the best engineers, the best literature minds, the best soldiers, the best pilots in every state. So all I'm saying, for Nigeria to excel, please give me your best. You look at countries, we are not, I keep saying, I have a saying and I quote Sonny Roche, that there is no Nigerian way of flying a Boeing 747. This presupposes that there is no Nigerian way of doing anything. There is only the proper way. So if we agree that there is only the proper way, unquote, of doing things, then let us bring up our best. When you look at something as entertaining as football, when we have proper selection, we go find World Cup. But when you start picking and choosing the weak people, then we run into trouble. We run into capacity issue. And part of our problem stems from lack of capacity. And I must say that we must put in our best. Go to UAE, for instance, that started Dubai 30, 35 years ago. You go there, the Emirati are not even involved in the serious work. They get the best from every part of the world. They bring Americans, they bring Europeans, they bring Asians, they bring some Nigerians there, and they are doing the best for the country. Then the Emiratis sit down and enjoy the gains that come out as a fallout of the development of their country.
All right, many thanks for that submission right there. But, you know, quickly, I would like to touch on the fact that you are a scholar from Oxford and you have a great deal of exposure, especially with the mentality of the whites, you know, in the UK. You know, I just also feel that ideologically, you know, they don't see themselves as different. I like the fact that you've touched about the UAE, you've spoken about US as well and all of that. You know, they don't even see themselves as somebody that they can say, well, ish, you know, or Irish, you know, in English, or Scottish man is equal as far as they are concerned. They see themselves as same, you know. So I would like to ask, how is it that we have allowed ethnic and religious division, you know, to impact our unity in Nigeria today? That's my first question. I'm trying to manage time right now. And my second question is that, you know, I'm beginning to pick specific areas of our economic issues right now, because so that we don't lose touch of certain issues that affect us right now. I like to call them challenges. You know, I would like us to, you know, talk about, you know, the democratic challenges. You know, we've seen a wave of, will I say, threat of militarization, you know, coup d'etat across Africa in states like Mali, in Burkina Faso, in, you know, neighboring country, Niger Republic, who are all young in democratic, you know, compared to us right now. So what do you think of our own stronghold in terms of democracy in Nigeria and Africa as a whole?
Okay, thank you for that. You've made some statements like the white man doesn't discriminate. They do. They tease the Scottish. But these are people who have been democratic from thousands of years ago. If you know the history of Cromwell, Cromwell was the prime minister who stopped the monarchy. He really dethroned the monarchy and was king, and he was a very, very strong personality. Then today you have Rishi Sunak, who is Indian, immigrant, becoming the prime minister. Then you go back to the United States. President John F. Kennedy was the first Irish immigrant president of the US. The day will come when Nigeria would mature to that level, when you see the weaker people face away right? Our kids are intermarrying, and with time, some of this ethnic jingoism would give way to meritocracy. It's just a matter of time. We are in a hurry, we are impatient because we know what should happen. We just want to get to where the Americans are, where the British are, but we still have to also take baby steps to make sure that some of these insecurity, I'll call it. I'm Igbo, right? But you cannot tell me that I'm inferior to any Nigerian. Come and prove it. Let us compete and let us see in every aspect of human endeavor and human dignity. You are who you are. You are not defined by the geographical location that you come from. You are not defined by the God that you worship. So what is important, a lot of people are scared. A lot of some of this ethnicity and bigotry stem from inferiority complex, which is innate, psychologically affects people. You don't, but when you make them feel at home with you, they're like, Omoibo, you could have bad you. And so that's the way I look at it. So let us look at ourselves as brothers. And the words of the old Nigerian anthem, which I so love, it says, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. And it says, help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And let us pass on to our children a banner without stain. So let us start thinking of Nigeria, not the things that divide us, but the things that bind us. Our diversity is our strength. Let us remove all the complexes and insecurities that we have as human beings, and let us look at, like what Desmond Tutu and the South Africans would say, the Imbutu in you, the human being in you, the God, little God that is in you. And let's forget all this narrow throwbackism of
I think that comes with a lot of reorientation, to be honest, but yes, not going further on your insights right now, because I really want to touch on the presidential gift to us, during his own speech. Part of the Independence Day gift, as far as I'm concerned, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is approving 35,000 naira salary increment for civil servants and workers to avert strike from the NLC, and of course, I'd like to touch on the fact that how do we move forward? How did the colonial legacy of arbitrary borders, contributed to the ethnic and religious division that you've touched on earlier in Nigeria? Because I just feel that we need to kind of provide a specific examples, to kind of take us forward or move us forward as a nation.
Thank you very much, Kike. I am for projection of the future. I don't want to look back like Lot's wife. I'm looking at the future. Nigeria is not the only country that was colonized by the British. India was. And a few months ago, India landed in the moon. So let us live. I don't want to look at what the British did to us. What are we doing to ourselves? So for the poverty alleviation, I'm sure with time that the federal government of Nigeria should look at other palliatives like food stamps. You start from the ward. We have thousands of wards. I don't know the number now, but I know we have 774 local governments in Nigeria. And you look at targeting the poorest of the poor, which constitute about 60 to 70% of Nigerians. Okay? Try and let people have their name, national identification number. Then there's also BVN. Like in the States, every American has a social security number. When I went to postgraduate in the US, I still have my social security number. It's from cradle to death. That way you can really plan and say, okay, in Njikoka local government or in Umuahia not local government, we have X amount of people, we have statistics, we have people who are college dropouts, we have those who are artisans, we have those who do not qualify for food stamps. Then we institutionalize the way of handling these things, not just throwing money at people. Okay, 35,000 is for those who are employed. There are unemployed people, there are underemployed people. But the 35,000 is a good step in the right direction. Let the private sector also do something. Alhaji Abdul Samad of BUA reduced the price of cement. We expect other manufacturers to Iyelepa tells you Epa ti wọ́n. Does the Iyelepa get foreign exchange to do her Epa? But of course, you know that there are multiplier effects from they also go to the market, they also buy fuel.
I have another perspective regarding that,
okay.
The deduction of cement, but let's move away from that. Let's go on a quick break. When I return, the conversation will continue after a word from my sponsors. Stay with me, I'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still right there with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is about the Independence Day and, of course, will I say the 63rd anniversary of our great country, Nigeria. And I've been discussing issues, or we've been discussing issues from multiple, perspectives around democracy, politics, unity, whatever, diversity, governance, maybe youth development, and many more other perspective on the issues that affect us. But my special, guest today, is from, will I say, today's edition is from Mr. Sonny Iruche, who is an Oxford University academic, fellow, and of course trained investment banker. I feel that I need to, to actually put that in, because when we did research on your profile, I see that you had decades of career achievement from that line as well, and I must say congratulations with all that you've achieved thus far. But quickly, let me use this opportunity to open our phone lines. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 080-988-77-400. It's showing on your It should be showing on your screen right now. And of course, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, both on Real Talk with Kike platform and of course on Silverbird platform. Sir, with all that you've shared us far, I must say well done, but I would like to touch on this Chicago State University release that releases Tinubu's academic records, because I'm beginning to view it as rather sentiment into national setback. I actually do not think that the energy that is being put into it with opposition party or other people is necessary, rather is a setback. That's my view. But I would like to have your own opinion on this, being that you are a man of, man of honor, who of course your certificates are out there and the like. What's your take thus far on this, with also the revelation that came back to us that was released yesterday evening? To
be honest with you, I have not really paid much attention to that, because I've been involved in a lot of work on my research. I've been really inundated between my research and my and the board meetings I've had, so I've not really paid much attention to that. But for me, really, what the way I look at it is this election palaver is going to end in the Supreme Court, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I do not really want to be sub judice by discussing a matter that is going to be before the
okay. Moving away from that, because I'm trying to manage time right now. Sure. I would like to quote, Sam Altman, the founder of Chat, Open AI, has been campaigning, for regulation of AI alongside other IT giants and the likes and all of that. And earlier you touched on the artificial intelligence as well, that it will give us some level of, accountability, especially when it comes to sensors and the likes and all of that. So you also called for, I think, the need for regulatory framework, for artificial intelligence in Nigeria today. We are, you are also urging people, and I feel that, urging people for more IT development. And I feel that you calling for artificial intelligence regulation. How does this work in our economy, in our country as Nigeria? Do you think that can bring some level of change in the world that we live in today? Okay,
good. Let me make one correction. My tenure as an academic visitor in Oxford ended March of this year.
Okay.
I actually started in 2022. Okay. But I've been taking some courses. I'm still living in Oxford, taking some courses in artificial intelligence.
Okay.
It's my new area of interest.
Okay.
AI can do a lot in medicine, in aviation, in population control, in the blue economy that we have just introduced in Nigeria. And AI is our today and our future. Therefore, I think it's imperative that we interest our children, the younger ones, and even include it in our curriculum in secondary school and universities for people to undertake courses in AI.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I had written an article about the necessity for having a regulatory framework, and I got a lot of critics. Some people were like, Nigeria hasn't reached the stage of AI. Yes, Nigeria has reached the stage. As long as we are part of the international community and we are struggling to get a seat on the UN Security Council, we have to be abreast of what is going on. If we are diversifying and we have our young people who are IT driven, so it's important. There was a lecture we had in Oxford about deepfake and China regulatory framework. That was what informed my writing that article. Some people use deepfake to create a fake train crash in China. And people whose families were on that train all traveled to go and see and look at what happened to their loved ones just to find out that it was fake. So it is important, and I asked the question in class. I said, can anyone use AI or deepfake to affect the signals that is given to air traffic control of planes? If they do that, wouldn't we be having plane crashes and heinous things like that? And the professor said, well, you've raised a very valid point. So in as much as AI has come to be part of us, we must embrace it. Nigeria, you might think we haven't reached that stage. Yeah, we have. We have about 6 different types of submarine cable that gives fiber optics to Nigeria. So if we can carry our cell phones all over the place, we can also get involved in artificial intelligence.
Okay, all right. I hear you, sir, but let's try and measure or fast track the engagement of the youth right now. Because if you ask me, the youth engagement and employment, you know, it's like another route to swift development, if you ask me, in terms of looking at it from our own country. However, we have seen how low figures can be, despite, you know, being a majority of our own population in Nigeria. Many programs, we've seen many initiatives, you know, from past administration till now, you know, and all of that have not fully been engaged with the youth. So we thought that you are saying thus far. The reason why I touched on that question, the fact that I feel that the population of youth today in Nigeria is a lot, which I feel that we need to take advantage of. But what measures can, you know, can fast track youth engagement and development in our country today? Quickly, sir, because of time. Okay,
well, I know that the private sector has a big role to play, and I know that influencers abound in Nigeria. They should take up the responsibility of handing over to the next generation things that they can do. You have different associations also that empower you. There are lots of empowerment programs going on. I watched the platform yesterday. I think it was Bosu Tijani, the Minister for Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy. Prior to that, the same yesterday, he had rolled out his blueprint for how he was going to run the digital economy. Very impressive. He's a young man, and there are lots of young people watching his program. So our role as fathers, as uncles, as aspiring leaders is to pass on to the next generation what they should do. They should apply themselves, just like the Asian children.
All right, many thanks for that elaborate submission. Quickly, I understand that we have a caller on the line. Is it still there? Hello, can you hear me?
Problems of the country and the way forward. For over 60 years now, we have had what we call affirmative action in the secondary schools, in the primary schools, where Nigerians go into secondary schools with different cutoff marks. When can we stop all this? Because it gives inferiority complex to those who are giving low marks to enter secondary school with those who have to score very high marks to enter the same class. And secondly, in the industry, you have people with second class 1 degrees going into NNPC, where their fellows from other parts of the country go with ordinary pass. When do we stop all these things so that Nigerians can start thinking of merit? Thank you.
All right, many thanks for your contribution on the show today. Sir, do you want to quickly respond?
Okay, thank you very much. I share your concern. I didn't get your name. The quota system we are alluding to was born out of immediately after the Civil War, when the government at that time thought that some people were educationally disadvantaged. But I believe that it has gotten to two-pronged action. One is to give back the schools to the missions and allow private sector people to run their schools. Government should have no business running educational institutions. So if you want to take someone in your school that scored single-digit mark to get in, that should be your own interest. So those who want to get the best, that will compete internationally, that will attend the best universities in the world and become high flyers in the global economy. If we look at President Biden's team, he has lots of Nigerians there. Wale Adeyemo that came the other day, if you enter the university with a low point, he won't be where he is. Fela Imasugi was just put in Biden's administrative with another lady, I don't remember her name, but Fela was in University of Ife in Nigeria. So what I'm trying to say, two things. One, it's time for us to abrogate some of this differential cutoff point. It is time for us to stop it. It is time for us to also review the 1999 Constitution, which has become totally obsolete. We have to sit down and rejig our country if we are going to make progress. So I agree with him that we should abrogate.
All right, many thanks. I wish we have time. I would have loved to touch on the local production capacity and the revenue generation, knowing that you talked about the debts that that we're facing right now. And of course, if we had time, because I know that this is also your field, I would have loved to touch on the finance and of course the cost of governance to be looked upon with all the how many ministers that we have and incurring a lot of people. Because you touched on the rule of law, I want to touch on the judiciary and of course our justice system right now. If it's possible for you to answer this in a minute before we wrap up, because we have the last segment of the show. I want to touch on the area where we need to be more developed and more in terms of empowerment for our laws to have more impact. For example, people and the youth of today have lost trust in the police. Despite being a police daughter, I like to keep it real on this platform. And I feel that our court of law as well, in terms of justice, have also failed people. Hence the reason why we see that a lot of jungle justice is being taken or is in place, mob actions, social media, courts and etc. and all of that. How can we have a turnaround, in this area in our country today? Is it possible for you to respond to this in one
Very quickly, we should not select the areas that we have failed. A lot of areas in our lives as a country have failed. It's because you see the court, because what's trending now, our election, petition, and so on. What about our daily lives in education? Lecturers, sexual harassment, banking problem. Look at the mess that happened in the last 8 years in our central bank, NMPC. So we need a total rebirth as a nation. We need a total return to the fear of God and doing things the right way. I started with my quote. There's no Nigerian way of flying a Boeing 747. There's no Nigerian way of running the police, the army, NMPC, central bank. There's only the proper way.
All right, many thanks again for all your submission thus far. It's been an interesting time with you on Real Talk with Kike today. So before I let you go, let me touch on the last trending or the last segment of the show. No. Before it's called Trending Story. These are issues that binds you and I as Nigerians. And the first trending story for me is the DJ switch, that tackles Pastor Adeboye, and in my opinion, on this story, I believe that there should be decorum. Without calling out older people. There should be a way that you can pass your message without insulting people. I understand what our ideology is, given by our own recent statements and posts. Last month she called out Professor Wole Soyinka, and she used very derogatory, remarks and spiteful comments. If you ask me, I try to keep it real on this platform. We all don't have all it takes. If you ask me, and I feel that same opinion that I feel that we need to agree on certain issues. We can agree to disagree without not insulting each other. However, we can also disagree respectfully and understand where other people are coming from, and people too can understand where you are coming from, and knowing that it is good for people to disagree and make sure that you all can understand each other and moving forward to provide solution. But I know that the good of this nation right now. You know, there are a lot of youths that are lending their voices, you know, to the nation and the challenges that faces us. But the special thing I would like to touch on is the social media, which was part of the question that I asked you last. You know, I feel that the social media now have become a court of law where the youth today can go there and just type let me control my thoughts. And I'm sorry to say this, but I just feel that, you know, there are quite a number of things that have been eroded, you know, that we've lost some of our lofty values as Africans, which is not fanciful, if you ask me, in terms of adaptation of our youth of today, how they are now using social media as another way of bullying. Yes, I'm using the word bullying for a reason, because we are calling out the government and the elder statesmen to a certain opinion that should be done politely and with decorum. However, the same thing that we are accusing the elders today, we are also using. I just feel that it requires wisdom for us to do the things, you know, in the right manner. And the generation of youth today, you know, they use the same term, you know, in how to bully the elders, you know, and disagree with them with so much disrespect. You know, I felt I was like, again, there are so many words that is coming to my head right now that even myself, I'm trying to control my thoughts not to use, you know, because I just felt that how can she use certain derogatory word on Wole Soyinka? It's a no-no for me. Shouldn't it have been done respectfully? What are the youth of today currently fighting against? Which is not oppression and bullying. And that's exactly what they are doing to the older generation, like I said earlier. So it's a bit counterproductive, if you ask me. And I feel that we need to, you know, they've assumed monopoly of, you know, of their own right on social media without them understanding that ile Latin coach go day. Why will you?
Let me come in here, Kike. In genetics,
yes,
from a biological point of view, we say like begets like. This, I don't know who this DJ you're talking about. You know,
DJ Switch.
I never heard of.
During NSAS, she was.
Okay, fine. So children, most times, are a replica of their parents. They want to mimic their parents. There are some parents who use foul languages on each other, and these children watch them and observe them. You will not see a child from a good home that is well brought up that will insult an adult. No.
I think it cuts across not just the foundation, of course, also what they watch, what they see, and the environment as well. Yeah. But moving away from that quickly, sir, let me touch on the last trending story, please. I would like you people to permit me and give me 3 minutes. It's the fact that I feel that the BUA cement that you touched on earlier about him announcing that he wants to significantly reduce, you know, the price of cement. You know, I told you earlier, sir, that I have a different perspective to it, because I just feel that the BUA cement CEO, that's Rabiu, that said that he has decreased price of cement. The reason is that he chose this for a betterment of the growth of Nigeria. But I also look at it from the angle from the arbitrary power of monopolistic angle, because I feel that many other businesses, you know, have also altered market price at all will because of the fact that they feel that subsidy have been removed and the like. My question is, where is this regulatory agencies and framework that should protect the masses from price exploitation? Where is it coming from? This is the, you know, refining. If I don't, for lack of a better word, because I know that I'm running out of time right now, is the fact that I feel that the cement and building industry, yes, is good for them, but how much other industry in Nigeria have also followed suit? Because everybody can claim and say that, yes, because the good gesture of one Nigeria, therefore let it cut across board. I say no to this. It shouldn't have the sole power to, you know, alter price, if you ask me. He can wake up tomorrow on the other side of the bed and tomorrow he will say, I've increased the price of whatever again. Who controls the price of tomatoes and bread in the market? Is what I'm trying to ask you guys. Who controls the price and transportation of people on the daily basis by, you know, the regular citizens? Nobody checkmates nobody in this country. You know, you can go there and and everybody will be saying that, you know, fuel prices have gone up. Therefore, the question is that everything has to go up. There's freedom to jack up prices at will to their own selfish interests. Sometimes we just need to do things the right way, and the government has to empower the regulatory frameworks and price mechanism to protect the interests of the masses. It's just unfortunate that we've run out of time already, and I want to say many thanks again for being on the show, for contributing to the issues that affect us all. I wish you the very best as you continue to forge ahead, sir. On this note, this is where I draw the curtains of the show. Bye now.